So, fun fact about me, I am adopted, and what makes my story my own is that I was never really driven to have to find out about my birth family. I was happy, I was safe and loved, and I knew in my heart that my birth mother was a very, very brave and courageous woman. It's not something people see about me on the surface or necessarily know about me, and I've always thought about it as a deeply personal thing, and I felt so lucky that it was really a part of who I was, and it shaped how I connect to the world. In fact, the only thought of curiosity that ever really crossed my mind was, could this be my mom, right? For those of you who grew up in this 1970s, Zsa Zsa Gabor was on television, and I occasionally would have the thought that, it could be a possibility, although I never really saw the resemblance. I have no idea where that came from, but it was a fun thought. Another fact about me is that I have built a career helping people present their true selves to the world by connecting with their heart. And today I'm going to tell you more about that. You see, at just 16 years old, I worked in the accessory department at the bottom of the escalator, and I helped women to complete their looks with just the right touches. It was so satisfying to me to see them happy. When they looked in the mirror and smiled confidently at themselves, it gave me goosebumps. I could see clearly the beauty in them, even though they often could not see it in themselves. I had a real interest to connect with these customers, and story after story, the struggles were real. I'm not skinny enough. I don't have enough money. My kids are too little, and the one that made me the saddest, I can't take care of myself now. I have kids and a job, parents, pets, and there's no time left for me. Whew. The oxygen mask analogy on the plane, taking care of yourself first, was not being applied to the daily lives of these people. All I could think about was how these folks just put a big hold please sign on their life. I just wanted them to let those thoughts go because I knew they weren't true. I wanted them to really, truly feel and understand that the way you were made is beautiful and handsome. I had a connection with knowing that you are whole and enough just as you are. I really wanted people to start from this place and to just get rid of the thoughts that put them behind. They were already in the position as the leader of their life. So let's start there because that's the truth. One of my most unforgettable stories of how an openness to heartfelt change and self-love can dramatically change your life happened in a financial seminar I gave a few years ago. Mary approached me after a talk much like this, and she said, I'm a single mom of 2 boys. She was currently an executive assistant and had been in the position for over a decade, but she also held a part-time job just to make ends meet. I can't afford to dress like everyone else, and my clothing really needs to be updated. The way I present myself isn't the way I'd like, but I don't know what to do. Off we went the next day to the thrift store, and for under $40, we picked out bags of nearly new pieces that instantly updated her look. She started to feel better, and within 30 days, she was able to quit her part-time job because she got promoted, and it wasn't because of her blazers and her pants, but because she stood taller. She felt better, and it beamed from her heart. She knew she deserved to feel connected again to what made Mary feel more like Mary. And it wasn't about the blazer I was going to put them in or the perfect pencil skirt. This was so much more. The reflection in the mirror should connect with the person you want to be when you are intentional and on purpose. The connection is one that is a combination of who you are on the inside, mixed with a little of who you'd like to be, built on a foundation that is uniquely authentic, which is your power base. The research shows us some staggering data, and clearly we have a lot of work to do. According to these statistics, which come from the Dove Global Beauty and Confidence Report, 85% is the number of women who say that they opt out of important life activities such as trying out for a team or club, or even engaging with family or loved ones when they don't feel good about the way they look. 7 out of 10. The number of girls with low body self-esteem who say they won't be assertive in their own opinion or stick to their own decision if they aren't happy with the way they look. And 8 out of 10. The number of both women and girls who feel some pressure to never make mistakes or show weakness. Now, interestingly enough, this female confidence challenge is also described as the imposter syndrome by Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes. Now listen to this. Women frequently express that they don't feel they deserve their job and are imposters who could be found out at any moment. Talk about a huge disconnect from our heart. They found that women worry more about being disliked, appearing unattractive, outshining others, or grabbing too much attention. They say the way a man dresses can say a lot about his character. As it turns out, attributes associated with dressing nicely, including confidence, sophistication, and intelligence, translate easily into the office environment, according to the study conducted by PR Newswire. In fact, 75% of Americans think well-dressed men are more successful in the workplace than their casual colleagues. And 22% of men actually believe they would earn more money if they only dressed better than they currently do. Men are also not exempt from doubting themselves, but they don't let their doubts stop them as often as women do. A Hewlett-Packard internal report found that men apply for a job or a promotion when they meet only 60% of the qualifications, but women will only apply for a job if she thinks she meets 100% of them. What stopped them from the start wasn't their ability, but was their decision not to even try. This graph shows us that women, the good news is, it's awesome that women gain more confidence as they age, but this is crazy evidence demonstrating how real these hold please thoughts are. We don't want to waste any more time not believing that we're not enough right now. We are always ready. You are always ready for whatever comes next. I could relate to having felt the emotions mentioned above many times, just like I'm sure all of you. Because of the connections I had made along my journey, my passion for dressing people with confidence took me down the television fashion path. And when it all started to unfold, as excited as I certainly felt fears of doubt. Was I qualified? Was I only that 60%? Certainly wasn't 100%. How will people see me? Will I say the right things? I hadn't studied communications in college. I hadn't studied television. I'm not 100% prepared. I felt like an imposter for a little while. I can relate to that. But I wanted it so badly, and in my heart, I knew it was right. I recognized that I needed help to get out of my head and into my heart. When I started to watch videos of Oprah, Tony Robbins, and successful people on YouTube because I wanted to learn more about them and I wanted to absorb their wisdom. I realized that these very successful and accomplished people were being judged all the time. And according to these staggering statistics, time is a-wasting. There were plenty of people that had negative comments to share, and seeing these comments helped me to realize that people are always going to judge, and you can never please everyone. The only one you should ever think about pleasing is yourself. And the only way to do this is to make your daily decisions around how you feel in your heart. It is a journey to being comfortable in the most authentic connection with yourself. One where you live from your heart, and most importantly, living in the moment so you don't waste precious time holding on to the limiting beliefs that might be holding you back. I want to share a short video from an inspiring woman to me, Shawn Killinger. She is a successful TV personality whose authenticity and commitment to herself has attracted her most amazing life.
So I'm legit up to the 9th recording now. 9 times I've tried to record this video, talking about your authentic self in under 2 minutes and trying to figure out how to express how one found oneself. It's not easy. So this is probably the best manifestation physically of how I feel about my authentic self. Years ago, since I work in television, I'm a host for QVC, which is a national home shopping channel. And for years, I was a news anchor and was on a reality show. My former self would never have done anything like this with no makeup and having not showered for 2 days. My former self would never have admitted that I have not showered for 2 days. My husband actually jokes that showering is not optional, and I disagree. I think it is. But I'm totally okay with who I am inside and out, and that feels really good. So I guess that's why I feel completely comfortable being whoever I am in front of whoever wants to listen, because I guess for the first time in my life, I'm actually not afraid if people turn their back or say they don't like what they see. And I don't have any magic pill for how that happened. I can just tell you, for me, God and brokenness, like falling flat on my ass and making bad turns in life, or trying to be perfect, trying to be someone else, trying to hide my flaws. I would just say fear and being afraid to be vulnerable is what really led me for many, many years to not having any idea who I was. And then even if I did know, not wanting to let it show. And I guess I would just have to thank God, truly, for bringing me along and helping me to see that actually all of those rough edges that life was sanding off were kind of interesting, and they made me. And all of my current imperfections and fears and weaknesses and insecurities, they're probably very similar to a lot of those of all of you watching. And it's kind of cool when we can all just admit that we're scared and that we don't know really what we're doing and that we're lonely. Because when we level the playing field, I don't know, I think it feels good. And I think it brings us together. So my authentic self, I would credit God for a great deal of it, giving me the courage to let it all hang out. And I think I started really finding it hardcore when I started really seeing my brokenness as a selling feature and as an asset and as one of my best characteristics and not one of my worst. I hope any of that makes sense. I'm sure I'll now record a 10th time, but we'll stick with this one for now. Have a great time, everybody.
Thanks, Shawn. I wholeheartedly agree with Shawn and with heart intelligence coach Gabrielle Gonzalez. Live your life from the fullness of your heart and have no regrets. Doing things passionately and with love, that's the real secret to life. Do this, and you'll not only feel better and experience more love and joy in your life, but you'll also help make this a better world. As a matter of fact, your life can truly blossom into the land of unlimited possibility when you consciously work on living from this place every day and truly knowing that you are whole right now. I always say in this world, you're only an email away from who knows what. And just last week, my life did a complete flip. Remember I mentioned I was adopted? Well, just last week, my daughter, Alyssa, asked me to check into my Ancestry account. This was an account that I had created when I had my DNA done 2 years ago. Just wanted to determine my ethnicity to be able to share that with my children. Lo and behold, I logged in, and there was a message from a second cousin, Forrest, who is actually here today. And just to think, over a week ago, he was a complete stranger. He has single-handedly helped me not only to trace my biological roots, but to find my birth father and half-siblings. Don't worry, there were a lot of what-ifs swirling around in my head, but I know that the connection to my heart is strong, and I pray the outcomes are positive, but either way, I followed my authenticity, and I know I can handle whatever this experience brings. So far, so good. We connected with my birth uncle last weekend because Forrest and he, Uncle Steve, both live in the Berkshires. And it was a magical moment that we will never forget. So there's Uncle Steve, myself, my daughter Alyssa, Forrest, and my cousin Dean. The clearest message that I have learned is that living your happiest life isn't about wealth or fame or working harder and harder. It is that good, meaningful relationships and connections keep us joyful and healthier, beginning with love and connection with yourself. Thank you.